You're listening to Squeeze Limes, where truth stings, laughs heal, and nothing's off limits. I'm Tyler, the daughter.
I'm Robin, the mom. And if life gives you lemons,
we're squeezing limes instead.
So grab a seat, open your mind, and get ready to laugh or cry, because we're not here to play nice.
We're here to get real.
Hi, welcome to Squeeze Limes. Today, we've got Peter Moulton with us. Peter is a husband, a father of three, a recovering addict of 35 years of sobriety, and a coach who spent nearly 3 decades helping entrepreneurs build businesses. He's the founder of Ultradian Partners, the creator of Ultradian Method, and the author of Up, a journey of intention, focus, and execution. And my friend for over 30 years. Welcome, Peter Moulton.
Indeed. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful to be here.
Wonderful.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for coming and hopping in, and we're gonna jump right into it. So, as you know, my mom just said you've been sober for 35 years, and how has that shaped the way you live now?
Oh man, it's been such a journey. So I think fundamentally what changed for me was the realization that I have to live on a daily basis. And I can look beyond it, but all of my actions have to be daily.
Hmm.
And those manifest and compound over time. And so, you know, I was thinking about your questions earlier, and I feel like a very rich person. Um, and because I have a beautiful wife and three amazing kids, and I'm fanatically happy about what I'm doing professionally right now. And but fundamentally, what it came down to was a couple of things: surrender on every single day to who I am that day at that time, and comparing that to where I want to be, and then taking daily actions to bridge the gap between those two things.
Hmm.
It's pretty intense. I mean, it's living in the moment. It's living on this day. This day is right. It's one day at a time. It's what we have, what we know
Yeah,
we have, right?
it's interesting. I was talking to my daughter about, what it was like to get sober in 1991, and I moved into a halfway house, as I probably talked to you about before, but I've been to over like 200, 225 funerals of people that lost their lives to addiction and AIDS.
Wow.
And uh, and so that created a really unique perspective for me. And I essentially grew up sober. I got sober when I was 18. And believe me, I've done all the knuckleheaded shit that you could possibly do while sober. So, like the most ridiculous behavior that you could possibly think of. But I didn't do drugs and alcohol, and that was the litmus test. And I remember when I lived in the halfway house, I had one goal every day, which was to make it home for dinner without using drugs. And dinner was served at 6, and I got home from back to the house at like 5, and I knew if I made it back to the house, I was going to be okay.
Hmm.
So that was the simplicity of it, and life inevitably becomes far more complicated: kids and college and
Sure.
marriage and all that shit. But I try very hard to maintain that sense of simplicity.
It's wonderful.
That is,
Mm.
and I think that's so important to those that may be struggling right now and listening, to know that there is a future, and to know that there is a path and possibility. Um, and I don't think we touched on this when we spoke, but what was your wake up call to be sober?
I literally woke up one day and was like, I'm going to be a fucking loser. And it just didn't sit well with me. And for me, I was granted this huge gift of I lost the desire to do drugs and alcohol the moment I had that realization.
Mm.
Um, And I've been very blessed because there are people that are tortured their whole life with addiction. And
Right.
now I smoked for 45 years and, like I gambled and women and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't go back to cocaine and heroin and those things that I had before.
Yeah.
So like a spiritual awakening, like, holy cow, there's so much more here. And
Right.
my life is so incredibly small
Yeah. And
at
to
this
know
at,
that at
at
such a
this
young
time.
age, like you had the wherewithal, which
Right,
most
right.
people don't at that age at all.
No, there's not a lot of consciousness at the age of 18.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, you're alive because of that.
Yep. Yes, I
So,
am.
yeah, I'm going to jump a little to your book, which I absolutely love and am a poster child for, especially in my your challenge in the book Up, the distraction economy. Can you speak to that a little bit?
This observation of people's inability to concentrate has been prevalent in my mind since I started in business in 1998. And with the realization for myself that I was just constantly distracted. But the manifestation and the acceleration of it happened in June of 2007 with the advent of the iPhone. And you think about it, like, let's just take it from a marketing perspective. You used to have to put stuff in the paper and hope that people got noticed and, that noticed you. And what happened was we put this device in our hand that was so omnipresent and it infiltrated every piece of our life. And that's accelerated since 2007. We're coming up on 20 years since the advent of the iPhone. But I used to make the judgment that people were stupid. But I don't think there's more stupid people in the world than there used to be. I think there's people that are distracted to the point of being stupid.
Mhm.
And I saw that manifest itself in business all the time, all of my clients. So I've worked with 16, 1700 people. And the biggest problem that people have, and I would say this is true of students and children and business people and just people in everyday life, is that they surrender to distraction all day long. And Microsoft did a study of 80 million work hours. And what they determined was that the average knowledge worker, so not like a carpenter, but somebody that works in the knowledge industry or service industry, um, out of an 8 hour day, they work 2 hours and 53 minutes.
Wow.
And, and so if you consider the
Wow.
massive loss of revenue from that perspective, this is probably one of the most expensive epidemics that we've ever encountered.
Right.
And then you think about the loss of the ability to concentrate at school and for students, it's just so profound. And what's interesting is that there's a movement now to go back to a more analog lifestyle, right? They're making students put their phones into
Mm.
bags that can't receive a signal. People between the ages of like 20 to 35 are really actively pursuing a non-distracted life.
Hmm.
But the cost of it for an entrepreneur is so profound because entrepreneurs are so frenetic and live in chaos all the time, and then you layer distraction onto that, and it is the ultimate recipe for failure.
Totally.
And then if you lay on top of that the absolute cancerous bullshit grind culture
Mhm.
mythology that you've got to work for 16-hour days, the, the more you sleep, the less you're working. And my book specifically talks about the biology of what are called ultradian rhythms. So I've named my company after it. I've sort of gone all in on it. But the human brain, and most people know what are circadian rhythms. So circadian rhythms are the 90-minute segments that you sleep. And in 1953, a researcher at the University of Chicago named Nathaniel Kleitman discovered that those same 90-minute cycles proceed throughout the day,
Mm.
and that you're cognitively at your best when you're first out of bed
Mm.
until between 11 and 12.
For sure.
And, and after that, your life's just a mess, right?
Okay.
But in
Hope
working
not,
with
but yeah.
entrepreneurs, but in working with entrepreneurs, they very much resist because they feel that if they're not reactive, they're not handling what's right in front of them. And what I talk about in the book is intention. And very few people actually bring in a specific intention into their day. And so that's the longest winded answer.
Right. No, but it actually makes a lot of sense. The intention can slow things down. So you can always have that like signal when you start veering off the beaten path, right? So you could go, wait, this is my intention today. So you go back. And I love that. I think that everyone should do that and remember to do that. It's hard to remember, I think, to do that on a daily. Yeah.
For me, I try very hard to bring a spiritual intention into my life on a daily basis. So I'm up at 4 a.m. every day and I sit on the side of my bed and for 7 to 10 minutes, I have a very simple prayer that I say over and over again for specific people.
Hmm.
What's interesting is that the longer I've stayed sober, I don't ever ask for anything
Mm,
because I believe that what's going to happen is what is supposed to happen. And I think a lot of people use prayer as a way to say, this is what I'd like. Then they negotiate with whatever their God is.
totally.
And I don't choose to do that anymore because I found it to be wildly disappointing.
I mean, yeah. So that's nice that 7 to 10 minutes that you take is sounds very peaceful.
Not always. Not
Oh,
always.
okay.
Sometimes I'm fucking wrestling with myself.
Okay. Okay.
But it's intentional. You're making sure
Right.
you do
Right.
that
Right.
practice that sets up the rest of your day.
Yes. Yeah,
Right. Which I think is
absolutely.
really important.
It's super important.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really interesting because I want to go back for a minute and talk about the distraction of our society now. And it's certainly something that I struggle with myself of being addicted to distractions constantly. And it is such a hard thing to turn off and to be intentional, essentially, to not do that or to sit where you are or be doing nothing or get bored. And like it's so critical to our brain and the way it works, the way that we show up for ourselves and others in our relationships. And so I think that's so wonderful that you noticed this well before and then when iPhones were released, because I think today that's like our biggest distraction or distractor is, you know, phones or technology and the way that it's developing. And in terms of marketing, like it is all in your face 24/7.
If you let it
Mhm.
be.
I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
hard to not let it be. But yes,
Yeah.
if you intentionally like that's the best word, if you really intentionally step away,
Put it in a bag.
yeah, like turn off the TV, turn off the computer, turn off the phone, you know just be with you, yourself, and I, or whatever company you may have, like that's really all you need.
Right. Well, but I think you spoke to the boredom part. And I think the boredom part is important. And I think that maybe our generation is a little different. We didn't have the immediacy and the gratification, the immediate gratification that they all have within 1 second of their reach. Um, so boredom, I like sometimes to be bored. And I feel like I wish, you know, 30-year-old, 20, 30, even early 40s, like I wish they would appreciate the boredom and not then need something to fill it, you know?
Mhm. It's a
I think that's
it's a very designed system. And so what I call the distraction economy in my book. So if you take companies like Facebook, every single software that you've ever had has some type of notifications. And
Hmm.
what I've called it in the book is the distraction economy.
mm,
And the distraction economy consists of $4.2 trillion of income per year. So if you take Facebook, Google, Apple, everybody that's involved in anything having to do with any type of notification equates to 4.2 trillion,
well,
which which is a huge percentage of our gross domestic product
mm,
designed towards distraction. And it's interesting if you watch right now the lawsuits that are happening against Facebook, Google,
Oh yeah.
etc. right now. They're losing these lawsuits because have so intentionally designed these processes to be addictive. They actually hire addiction specialists. And what they've done is they've taken your phone and they've mimicked the same behavior that you see on a machine,
Mhm.
which gives you randomized gratification. They have implemented all of that
Yeah.
same psychology into the device.
Well,
And so we are all willing participants. It's
oh, for
funny
sure.
that one of the first things I have my clients do, and this is literally the biggest fight that I have with my clients, literally almost fist fight, is is I ask them to put their phone on do not disturb all day.
Oh, oh,
And the lack of willingness to do that because they might miss something.
right.
And the thing that I try to shift the paradigm is that I want you to engage with this on your own terms rather than terms upon which the distraction economy is trying to capture your attention.
Right.
And that's like with my kids, there's no way. I gave up on my kids a long time ago.
But it's true. I actually do the same. I ask them, just turn off your notifications. What do you need? You need your phone and your text. But other than that, you don't need to know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow or in an hour, like or who just won the Cubs game. You just don't need to know all these
No,
things. You can look on your own. And that
precisely.
actually makes it more exciting to just go into your email and look, or go into Facebook if you want, or Instagram or whatever. But you don't need to know if someone liked your shit
Mhm.
ever.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. But you're right. The willingness is just, it's terrible. It's
That,
mind blowing.
that and the manifestation that people judge their self-worth based on the reaction of social media is
Yes.
insanity.
It is
Yeah.
insanity. It's really harsh. And I feel, I mean, I feel their pain because that's what they have learned to do. So they can't be without it. But detoxing from social media, I think, is really also very powerful. And sometimes I have people do that for, just like 3 to 5 days. And it's really kind of nice after they really go through the detox. It's pretty bad. And then
Yeah.
they emerge and they're like, this is kind of nice. No,
Yeah.
so that's nice.
Right.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
it's crazy the way that our society has normalized what is happening. And I think, like you said, it's not so much that there's stupid people, it's just that there's these a- actual geniuses that are developing all of these
Algorithm. Yeah.
algorithms and these businesses and designing, like you said, the way that society is functioning. So it's not so much the society itself, it's these big head honchos that we need to kind of go after.
Which we are, which we're trying anyway. But like I know
Yeah.
my algorithm. So if I like look for, say, I'm looking for a couch and then everything comes, what I do is I then go to like 800 videos on penguins and watch them, because then it comes back and I
It
do it
resets
like,
your
so
algorithm.
when I open up my stuff, it's like, oh, this is so cute, and it's like enlightening, and then I can carry on. Like I don't need to sit with it and get lost in the penguins, even though they're
Yeah.
cute. Right. So I think we can all offset it in some way, right before you shut off your phone, or if you just go to sleep, or maybe people don't shut them off. I don't know. But I want to know something. So, what changed in your life when you stopped pushing through and started working with your natural rhythm?
That's a really interesting question. Let's take a step back in order to answer that question. Um, the longer I've stayed sober, the more I have realized that I was addicted not just to drugs and alcohol, but I was addicted to pain. And I was of service to my pain, whether that meant acting out or whether that meant worshiping my pain. And I think a lot of people do what I would call wound worshiping.
Mhm.
And what that created for me was an exceptional amount of chaos in my life and pain that I just kept repeating the same process over and over. And there was a time, it probably was about 10 years sober. So it took me 10 years to realize that I needed to make a decision. And I'll tell you a funny story very quickly. The guy that married my wife and I looked at me during the wedding ceremony and he said this in front of 150 people. He said, Peter, he addressed it directly to me. He said, Peter, I want you to know that the Latin root of the word decide means to kill off all the other options. And what you're doing today, Peter, is you're making a decision.
Oh, I just got the chills.
And that sat with me and has sat with me forever. And, my marriage has gone through whatever it's gone through, but I also realized that there's been sequential, repeated periods of time in my life where I had to make a decision, which was to literally set the ships on fire so we couldn't go backwards. And I made a decision and I killed off the other options. So about 10 years sober, I came to realize that if well, and here I'll tell you, I'll preface this even more. I had a really good friend when I first got sober. His name was Jimmy, and we called him Jimmy the One-Eyed Wino because somebody had stabbed him in the eye with a syringe and he was missing an eye. And I walked up to Jimmy one day and I didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground at the time. And I said, Jimmy, I'm really not feeling good at myself. And he said, Peter, if you want self-esteem, you got to do something esteemable. And I was like, damn it. That's so
Yeah.
simple and all. But in about 10 years, it all started to click for me. Like, if you want self-esteem, you got to do something esteemable and you have to make a decision. You have to cut off all the other options. And so I started getting out of bed at a regular time. And it was those little incremental things that compounded over time into my ability to live the life that I'm living today.
Amazing. It is actually. It could be micro movements.
Right.
It doesn't have to be drastic.
No, and everybody's looking for the goddamn silver bullet,
Mm-hmm.
right? They
Mm-hmm.
don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You look at anybody that's profoundly successful, they put the time in.
Yeah.
Right.
They've done the hard work. Just like I'm sure your podcast. You guys didn't know your ass from a hole in the ground when you first started, and now you guys have momentum, and it took time and effort to get there.
For sure.
Right. Absolutely. I think it's such an important point to be made, as we even just spoke about instant gratification, is that you on social media, you see all these really successful people and you kind of see like point A and then point B, but you don't see the path in between.
So it looks easy.
So it looks
And it's
easy, it looks attainable, and then you go try it and you're like, well, why isn't it working for me?
right.
Yeah.
It's all staged success.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not real.
Right. Overnight success is not really overnight success.
Never is. Never.
So,
But that's what people think, especially like, the 20 somethings or the 30s. And they're like, why can't I have it easy? It looked so easy for you. Like you guys did it. And it's
right.
like, wait, you have no idea. And so, that's really tough.
Yeah,
actually.
it's the small movements, the baby steps to get eventually to where you are. And it sounds like you are living the life that you want and or dreamed of, that has fit your intention back many years ago.
Totally.
That's absolutely right. And I think we talked about this when we talked before. Humans are the only animals that don't come out of the womb walking and self-sufficient. And it takes, how long does it take for a human to become self-sufficient? Is it 18 years? Right? Is it
Some a
is
little
it
bit more than
Some
others.
35. I don't know.
is it 35 years? I don't know what
Who
it
knows?
is. But everything in life is incremental. From the time you're born, you have to be fed, you have to be changed, you have to do all these things. And
Yes.
that psychology doesn't change.
Right.
And and I think that what people want to do today is to skip all of the incremental nature of progress. And it's a
Right.
huge loss. It's a huge loss.
Right. The
Yes.
humanistic approach. They're not. They're not there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for someone who feels like distracted, fried, burnt out, um, and kind of like always behind and not necessarily living in that intention we spoke about or getting to where they want or wanting that fast track success, where do you suggest to our listeners that people start?
The very first thing is put your phone on Do Not Disturb. That's the very first thing. The second thing is to get enough sleep. Sleep,
Yes,
sleep,
please. Sleep,
sleep.
everyone.
Yeah, sleep is the great equalizer. Your brain is not healthy if you're not sleeping. You know, I get up at
Yeah.
4 a.m., but I go to bed at 8:30 every night.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
yeah, it's amazing. I love it. And then the other thing is I tell people I work with to begin with 60 minutes a day of acting with intention.
Mm.
Just 60 minutes. And then after 60 minutes, I don't give a fuck what you do, right? Go get your nails done. Go whatever, get a massage. I don't
What does
care.
that look like? The 60 minutes.
So in business, I ask people to focus on revenue and relationships. In my personal life, and let me say this about business people. People will do anything in their power to avoid focusing on revenue and relationships. It is always the last thing, but it
Mm.
is always what makes you money, right? And I'm always looking for new revenue and I'm building and creating relationships. And I'm successful because I am so conscious of what I would call social capital is, right? I have a tremendous amount of social capital. And if you think about, I'm able to affect a lot of people because I'm very, very intentional with my time and effort. And I say no a lot more than I say yes
Mhm.
to things. And I'm very, very deliberate.
Mm.
And I've totally lost track of what I was saying. It literally just left my head.
Yeah, we're talking about distraction. No, I'm just kidding.
But
What would
yeah,
you
oh, I'm
say
sorry.
to somebody
Where
who's
to go
totally
if you're beginning?
distracted, right?
60
Um,
minutes, 60 minutes and turn your phone
yeah,
on Do Not Disturb
yeah,
for
wonderful.
as long as you can bear it.
Yeah,
As long as you can bear putting your phone on, like no notifications, no phone ringing, no text, no nothing,
yeah,
and be deliberate. And that's the very first step. That's the very first step of reclaiming yourself.
yeah.
That's great. And I think that goes hand in hand with a practice that my family or my husband and I do is that we sleep without our phones or technology within our bedroom. Our bedroom is specifically for sleeping and not for TV, not for scrolling on our phones, not for anything. We plug our phones in the kitchen and we walk away, we leave it there for the night and come back, you know, maybe an hour or two after in the morning when we wake up, depending, what's happening that day. But it is so powerful to go to sleep without that distraction. So not only are you getting that time of the do not disturb because you're physically removing yourself from it, but then you're also waking up that way too. And I think that in today's society, at least people for my age and maybe younger, people will charge it right next to them. And then the first thing that they do when they wake up is they look at it. And then there they are. That's kind of setting up their own intention for the day, which is not a successful intention for the day.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think it's an important thing that like I've done for myself and my husband or that we do. And it's drastically changed so many things for us and has been uh, really helpful.
great. I think
Yeah.
that is great.
Yeah.
I suppose the other thing that I would say, and this is an exercise that I do with my clients, is I ask them what really matters and try to clear out all the bullshit that
Yes.
you think might matter. What really matters to me, my wife and my kids. That's that's really it, right? And
Yeah,
everything I do everything I do is of service to them and their well-being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything, my business, everything I do.
Hmm.
And I work to create the legacy, however modest it is that I'm creating, is designed for them to be able to live a life that matters,
Hmm.
right? Long after I'm gone. That's
Right.
my intention.
Absolutely.
That's a great intention,
Right.
and so important to reflect on that. Um and to think, for our listeners, for themselves, of like, what does that look like for you in your own life?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
To say something that might be controversial. Um,
We like controversy over here.
Bring it.
I I fundamentally believe, besides people that are victims of crimes, etc., and generational trauma, etc., I believe that there are very few victims in this world. Most
Totally,
most are willing participants.
totally agree. People get addicted to
And
victimization.
I want to be very clear that I'm saying that there are definitely victims out there.
Of
But
course.
what I do believe is that people choose to be victims to the circumstances that they're creating.
Yeah.
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 What feels juicy in your life right now?
I have so much that's juicy in my life right now. I have a ridiculous amount. And like I said before at the beginning of this, I feel very rich.
Yeah,
And I'm at a point in my life where everybody that is in my family is good. And it's taken a lot of work to get there. And like my wife and I only separated for 6 years. It's taken us a long time to build that trust and back, obviously.
hmm
And it was my fault. I left her for another woman. I was gambling. I was doing all these crazy things. And um, I'll share something else with you guys. I was diagnosed in 2018 as being bipolar. And what was fascinating to me was I have always in my entire life, my adult life, from the time of like 16 until I became medicated, I felt like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill
Mm,
forever.
yeah,
And
right.
when, and when I became medicated, I wasn't pushing the rock anymore. I was able to make forward progress. And
because you were level. You became level.
100%, I instantly lost the compulsion to gamble. I had no interest in other women. I blah blah blah, all of the things. I went through that, and you know, God bless Sonia for
Yeah,
taking me back. And it's funny. We've been separated for 6 years, and finally, I just said to her, like, "Can we go on a date?" And then we started getting back together.
yeah,
But it took us about 8 years to regain that deep level of trust,
for sure.
understandably,
Yeah.
understandably. But I'm in my juiciest life because I'm really well mentally and emotionally. I have ruthless clarity on what it is that I wish to accomplish. I have a very specific vision of what my life is going to look like between now and the age of 70. Um, and I am well on my way to creating that life for myself and for my family. And then the other thing is that I am not creating pain in the way that I did. And what I said at the beginning of this podcast was that I was addicted to pain.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
And I pass that on to my children in the most unconscious way.
Hmm. For sure.
And, you know, everybody wounds their children. Everybody does. And whoever says they don't is full of beans.
Yep.
And and what's happening right now is that I'm able to have conversations with my children in such a uh, honest and candorous way that they're taking responsibility for their own wounds and moving forward in life. So That's how fucking juicy my life
You
is.
are filled with juice.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
love that. No,
Me
thank you
too.
so much.
Yes.
This has been a wealth of information. And I love that you're feeling it and you're living it. And I could see it and hear it. And it's just amazing. I think it's amazing. I just am so happy for you.
Blessings to you guys, and especially you, Tyler, about to pop out another kid.
Yes, thank you so much.
Literally.
Literally. Well, thank you again for being on. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining this episode. If you like this, please leave a rating and review. And Peter, would you like to give where people can find you?
You can find me at Ultradian, Ultradian Partners, ultradianpartners.com.
All
Thank you
right.
guys so much.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you,
It's been wonderful.
everyone. We'll see you later. Live your juiciest day. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a good squeeze.
Of course, everybody needs one.
See you next time on Squeeze Lives.